Let me share with you a little secret. A lot of great shows have terrible first seasons. Like, yeah, The Office, amazing. First season, absolutely god-awful. But after that, it bursts out of its cocoon into its own original thing. JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, an 8-part series that I would watch any day. But part 1 is terrible, and it's okay to skip it. American Dad, its first 3 seasons are all on the meh side, but it eventually figured itself out. Some shows are just late bloomers, and Disenchantment might be the worst example of this I've ever seen. It's a spiritual successor to Futurama and that other show that was once good, and we have gone through 2 seasons of it drunkenly flailing around, and it's past time it sobers up to tell me who it is. This show frustrates me to no end, because it has a solid premise, decent characters, with the most lukewarm execution I've ever seen. Like, I can remember most cartoons off the top of my head, but I needed to be reminded that this show even exists. And with season 3 just around the corner, I feel the need to take another look at Disenchantment to see if it's compelling enough for me to rewatch it. So I'm going to quickly summarize the show rapid fire, then go on to my review. If you don't want spoilers, then this isn't the video for you, because you can't talk about the tonal tug-of-war of this show without mentioning the key moments, and I don't want anyone else to get whiplash on my account. Number 1, a fairy tale story with blackjack and hookers. Start in a bar where our princess is drinking, gambling, and swearing. She ain't like the other girls, but she is like all the other girls. This is Gets Laid Tia Beanie. Bean for short. She's the daughter of King Bender, aka Joe the Dog DiMaggio. He wants to marry her off, but she doesn't want an arranged marriage. So she befriends a demon named Lucy who tells her she has a great life.
Introduce a little anarchy.
Also, there's an elf named Elfo. He's from a Smurf Village parody, and this is the only time where he's enjoyable. Here, he's an elf bad boy, but after episode 1, he's back to virgin, nice guy, interrupting the wedding between Bean and the incest prince, who impales himself and lives.
He's dead.
I think I'm still alive.
Then thankfully, we get to meet his brother, the best character.
Smack him.
Don't be sad. She would have left him for me anyway.
Bean does the obvious thing and bolts out of her own wedding, running into hooker Tinkerbell and other fantasy creatures with a twist, before finally yeeting herself off a cliff rather than marrying a man she doesn't love. Episode 2, Hate the Status Quo. Life and limb fall into her captor's lap. Forced back home, the government is divesting Elfo of his assets to be used as an immortality potion. Bean is actively planning to murder her fiance via bachelor party.
Some would say overflowing with revulsion.
That's okay. I don't listen to women.
Oh, he's like a Shakespearean Bud Light commercial. The party barge goes to a mermaid island where the creature's siren song lures Prince Sexy Voice to his death, only for him to come back later with his maids to save the day from pirates that turn out to be wedding guests.
This be a warning to your other allies.
Then he gets turned into a pig, and most tragically, forced into the background. Episode 3, Demon Plot. Wait, what? Lucy was sent by 60s enthusiasts to make Bean's life decisions even worse, but she doesn't need much help in that regard. This being the Middle Ages, they turn to God for help.
Oh, we can spout crazy theories all day, but science suggests a more logical explanation. That Bean is possessed by a demon.
That fails, so then they turn to an exorcist. He traps Lucy in a bottle after the mystery handlers shove him inside of Bean. Realizing that she cares about her enabler, Little Miss Privilege saves Lucy and murders the guy who was just doing his job. Also, they release all of his captured demons back into the world. Episode 4, Hints of Greatness, and Elfo just became the worst. So King Bender is out of the castle with his lizard wife. Bean is taking the opportunity to partay while her babysitter is having an orgy in the dungeon. And this guy is the exact same character he was in Futurama.
This Mr. Fry must be a mastermind of the highest order.
Oh, I've got to keep it together until he's out of the gates at least.
Not a bad thing, but it is Iroh territory of distracting. Party gets invaded by Vikings who join in on the fun. Princess is getting more than just eye candy, but Elfo's being a territorial little shit cock-blocking her, because if he can't have her, no one can. Somehow between literal royalty and this guy, he's somehow more entitled. Things devolve with the party crashers trying to take over the kingdom, but the Vikings safely plummet into the ocean.
Wow! I can't believe you just sent so many people to their death.
Death? No, they'll just all fall into the ocean. Oh. I guess it was low tide.
This is where Elfo gets validated for risking his life, but this didn't fix any part of his gumdrop shit-covered personality. Episode 5. I actually like this one. Bean escapes from the sound of music only to get kicked out of her house again. Forced to get a job, she takes her gift at slaying it to the literal extreme. She tries to apply some good old-fashioned modern morality against medieval prejudice, only for prejudice to be 100% correct. Elfo gets endangered again, running into Hansel and Gretel, who in this story are cannibals.
Don't give away the game. When Germans laugh, people get nervous.
Bean has to save Little Green Innocent and successfully makes it through the candy house of horrors to murder the twins. Gets rewarded for it, and the father can rest easy knowing that the throne is secure, because she'll never wuss out on killing people again. 6. Redneck Lizards and the story circle is hell. No direction in life, Bean feels left out and untrusted, asking her dad for some responsibility, showing some soon-to-be-forgotten growth from the stagnant party girl, getting placed as the ambassador to her stepmom's kingdom, where she embarrasses herself because Lucy and the plot are here to enforce negative character development. Running through the bayou, Bean has to be the mature one to deal with the literal angel and devil on her shoulders, then saves her dad from swamp people. Dad tells Bean he's proud of her and gives her his seal of approval to go back to doing exactly what she did at the start of the episode, because status quo is God. Episode 7, this guy's the worst. Elfo lies about having a giant girlfriend, which no one believes. Getting high, the wee little man is still dealing with low self-esteem, while the lady is focusing on the real issues.
Let's get scones.
Still tripping, they think the girlfriend is real and send out knights to find her. They come back with an actual giant woman.
A giant!
The giantess tries to call out Elfo's lie, but he bribes her with a magical orb to replace her missing eye. Then at the dance, it grants her magical sight and nearly reveals the secret that this show will drag out way longer than I'm prepared to care. Elfo's dead to me, so I don't care who Elfo's non-elf mom was. He outs himself as a liar for no reason. Townfolk do their thing and try to kill her when she brings up body positivity. Escaping with the help of drugs, we get to hear the moral of the story.
Well, you helped me out of here, so I guess it's cool.
It is?
No! You're a dick! None of this would have happened if you just told the truth.
Episode 8. Quests for small hints of what's to come, but who cares? There's no payoff. Court Wizard can't make the immortality potion. Thankfully his lover, yes, think about it, suggests that they steal the book from Hansel and Gretel's house, which tells them that they've just been missing a special vial to make the non-lemony magic. Skipping through various old people, more foreshadowing and laughs. Their fetch quest takes them to the Manicore and the return of the Exorcist, who also kidnapped Elfo.
Unlike other villains, I shan't be telling you my plan. Good day.
They travel to a distant, more interesting land filled with stone people. Assassin, sent by the Mystery Shiners, distracts everyone long enough for the good guys to get the vial and run away.
Ah! My shiny new arm!
Go! See you in hell, weirdo!
I guess you just gotta appreciate the dedication. Episode 9, things get interesting, and I am finally invested in the story. Magic Amulet won't work, because Elfo isn't a pure-blooded elf. Running away from the 7th time, they make it to Elfland, where aside from a few funny gags, most of the story is built around serving a substandard mystery box. Humans ruin everything, good human saves the day, but Elfo gets hit by an arrow and is dying.
Oh no! Anyway.
Then in the moment that gave me hope for the show, Bean stands between Elfo's dead body and her petrified mother, and makes a choice. With only one drop of pure elf blood, she can bring back her friend, or free the mother she never knew. And Bean chooses her mother. Freeing her from stone, she's finally reunited with her mom, but still gutted over the death of her friend. And it was at this moment where the show peaked. Episode 10, Ruh-roh, Evil Mom. Queen Dagmar is back, people are elated, stepmom is pissed, Elfo gets a funeral where we mourn green-skinned Olaf, Queen Fight causes the elf spy to fall into the ocean, but forget that, mother-daughter turn-up.
Alright, favorite food on 3. 1, 2, 3, beer!
Backstory for how Dagmar got turned to stone in the first place, with King Bender being the second in line for the throne till his brother got hit with an unfortunate case of death. King fell in love with Dagmar immediately, Bean was born, poisoned wine caused the queen to turn to stone. Speaking of which, people in the castle are being turned to stone. They blame stepmom Una.
It's gotta be Una. She's finally snapped after years of us being dicks to her.
Hiding Bean with her mom, Lucy makes a very important discovery. Dagmar was the one who poisoned the wine, and Bean accidentally switched the glasses. Confronting his wife, he only gets the boot, and Dagmar gets the whole kingdom stoned, while tricking Bean into escaping with her. The two flee to the queen's homeland, and Bender, real name Zog, is left alone with his stone subjects.
It's the only bright side is, now I got nothing left to lose.
And after this, I was hyped for season 2, because I just wanted to see where this would go. Also, like, holy shit, there's suddenly a plot going on in this story. Like, what the hell's gonna happen? Season 2, forget about the interesting storylines, it's season 1 all over again. Episode 11, one episode of intrigue, then back to the same shit. Tia Beanie Baby is now at her mom's place, and we find out the mystery fire people are Bean's aunt and uncle. Things seem to be going well, with positive family moments.
You will be the greatest woman this goddamn kingdom has ever seen.
Then we meet crazy golem-looking people ranting about how Bean being the one that the prophecy spoke of. Creepy paintings in hands, gaslighting is a go. Mom was in on it and is trying to force a lobotomy crown on her daughter. Out of options, she goes to hell. Escaping with Lucy, the two are on a quest to find Elfo's soul. Because now, she realized she fucked up, not reviving him. Descending into the black pit, where my engagement got lost. Episode 12, Elfo leaves heaven and I'm back in hell. The first two people we care about are wandering around hell trying to get 30 minutes of engagement out of a 22-minute story. Elfo is with God, voiced by the legend Phil Lamar. Elfo gets himself smited to be reunited with Bean, while the others run into Satan, also voiced by Phil Lamar. Lucy betrays Bean, then guilts himself into saving her. Also, Elfo found out Bean left him to rot and is not happy with her. Then they escape hell and he's back to being a Teletubby. Episode 13, Una becomes a pirate and the elves move in. So Una gets rescued from the bottom of the ocean, realizing she hates her marriage, deciding to fuck it and become a pirate. Returning home to get her stuff back, the pirate captain is an elf who knows some secret about the kingdom we don't find out about. Going to the elves, Pyrodo tells the mayor about the secret and everyone moves to the kingdom to disstone the population. Una ditches everyone to go live her best life. You do you, girl. And there's also this bit about Zog and Bean reuniting, but none of that really matters. Episode 14, Zog's grisly love story. The king finds a woman who is also a bear. They fall in love, but she doesn't want to live in the castle. So Zog does what all the men do in this classic folktale, stealing her magic animal fur, making her stay human, and with him. She's miserable, so Zog backpedals immediately. She bails, but it's a bittersweet bailing. Also, Elfo has a story about getting back his girlfriend. She's happy with her staple of side hoes. Episode 15, adventures outside the kingdom are better than the kingdom. Elves are all sick from trickle-down economics. Elfo's dad is teasing a reveal that doesn't come.
There's a reason it's been so hard to tell you, because you see,
Journeying to get some cure fruit from Ogre Country, first guy dips, the rest get captured in a scene that I swear we've seen before.
Oh, let's just give it to him. Here, Junior, knock it off. You can play with the skull tomorrow.
I should call this a ripoff, but this is actually pretty funny, so it gets a pass. Getting the berries with the help of the queen, our three musketeers go back home to find Elfo's dad dead.
I heard every word you said. And you know what, Elfo? I'm glad I stole your college fund.
What?
The ending jokes don't always have to be the best one. Sometimes you just need a transition. Episode 16, the Heist episode. Zog is taxing the hell out of the kingdom's new minority. Bean won't stand for it and partners with some carnies to Robin Hood back the money. Things go smoothly at first, till Zog decides he's been too hard on the little people and wants to give it back. Too bad the money's already been stolen, and they're trolls, not elves. Double-crossing Bean and the elf. Luckily, Lucy saw the double cross and implemented his own.
One double cross with a switcheroo.
Episode 17, Little Brother Spotlight. So Bean has a brother. He's irrelevant and didn't have any solid jokes, so I omitted him. Episode 18, nah, I'm just kidding. Bean's brother Derek has an octopus pet and is dealing with some sibling rivalry from Bean, who resents him for having the life she always wanted, on top of the half-sibling divide. Elfo befriends the kid and they have fun together, while Daddy Dares is trying to get gout. Then, the other noble guy gets murdered by the octopus friend, who then kidnaps Derek. Bean rescues him and a bunch of people die and the monster is still out there. But look, they care about each other now. Episode 18, Dreams of Being a Hipster Bar. Bean is having nightmares about everything that's happened to her. No, none of that. It's a plot that the show pretends to care about. Worrying about her nightmares, she heads to a local cafe where they suggest she takes her personal insecurities and make a living off of it. Creating a play, mocking her father, who doesn't take it well when he finally realizes it's about him. Bean's pissed her life story is getting butchered into a comedy, taking her anger out on stage to bemoan the state of the world, which seems really fun. Wish places like this were open. Zog saw all of this and they have a touching moment together and agree that only one of the actors have to die. Episode 19, Steampunk Futurama. A flying machine crash lands into the city. Steampunk dude is here, voiced by Phil Lamar. Sexy nerd gets Bean to discover her love of technology, and a strange obsession with receiving validation from strangers. Escaping with him, he shows her his hometown, which is Steampunk. I've already said it. Exploring the city and getting horse rides with female cops, finds out the guy she's attracted to is trying to kill her father. A pattern in this show. Making it back home after stealing a gun, we get actual tension for a change. Episode 20, Dad is dying, Bean is thriving, Mom is past caring. Zogs out of commission, and medieval medicine is only helping him die. Bean is under house arrest because, you know, she's a woman. The Grand Vizier plans to make Derek his puppet so that he can rule the kingdom. She's put on trial and everyone gets brought back to talk about what she did wrong, without context to make her sound terrible. Derek is stuck with making the decision. Bean gets freed from jail by the kindly executioner. And our girl takes the time to perform surgery on her father to remove the bullet.
But I just don't think she'd ever try to kill him.
This ain't a good look. Witch is burning as a go, and then the floor falls out and they're surrounded by goblins, I think. And Bean's hot mom is back, and the plot pretends to care yet again. Disenchanted isn't great. Elfo is terrible and the plot is consumed by mystery boxes that aren't compelling. I do like the show though, but it often feels like it doesn't fully know what to do with itself. It will continually tease a greater overarching story, but leak back at its earliest convenience to just be a regular sitcom. That doesn't have to be a problem. I think it would work as just a comedy with no overarching plot, but it needs to shake up the cast to do that. There are jokes that slay me, the way that Futurama used to, but the setting for the show is often as much a detriment as it is a plus. Futurama thrived in its irreverent take on the future, with insane technology and wonders that the characters treat as completely normal, where our everyman would lose his mind at both the crazy tech and the people's reaction to it, creating a triple layer of comedy. But in Disenchantment, there is no everyman. The closest we have is Elfo, but he's the Olaf of the show, hopelessly naive and optimistic who only grates on us. Subversive fantasy isn't new. Game of Thrones has effectively run that train right into the gutter, and we haven't been out of it since. So the story's take on fairy tales is where the show's real comedy lies. Prostitute fairy, okay, yeah, that's a thing. Elfo doesn't get it, whatever. But if you show me Hansel and Gretel giggling like children planning to murder people, I'm dying. Mermaids, okay, we're gonna see some hot, oh no, they're walruses. I'm like, what? Because it's these small little changes on these traditional stories, I'm done. These fucked up fairy tales are consistently gold. But relying on just the fantasy aspect and making fun of those parts, it's just played out. If this came out 15 years earlier, I think this would be hitting a lot better than it is. But as it stands, fantasy and subversive is nothing new, and they have to try a lot harder to get those laughs. But the fairy tale aspects being where the real comedy gold lies. As much as I like individual episodes, this series just doesn't feel like it's using its setting to the fullest effect. And a large part of that is due to the show's runtime. These aren't 22-minute episodes. These on average go around to 28, leaving these stories feeling more stretched out, with a lot more padding and bad jokes. If they trimmed the fat and cut out the worst moments and compressed these 28 into just 22-minute episodes, the laughs would hit harder and more often, because the writers for this show are great. And I'm not sure what's the reason for the inconsistent runtime, but I think trying to hit the almost 30-minute mark is doing this show no favors. And this is especially problematic when the show's cast drops the ball. And let's talk about that green little ball. Elfo is awful, he's Olaf but knows that sex exists and the world is all the worse for it. Elfo is designed to be the wet blanket of the group, the character to be the voice of niceness in contrast with Lucy, but, and this is the big but, he doesn't work. A, he's annoying and not in the way the show wants him to be, and B, the initial characterization for him was perfect. He's the bad boy elf who is super nice by human standards. He had a girlfriend, but immediately after the first episode, he becomes a token nice guy lusting after Bean, which is just all cringe. It would be difficult to have Lucy, Bean, and Elfo all be troublemakers. But I think it could still be done. For starters, drop the Bean romance. Instead, stick to the initial idea that Elfo thinks he's the rebel. He thinks he's the coolest, but he doesn't realize that human versus elf standards of bad boy are completely different. Instead of being insecure, give him all the confidence. Let him think he's the #1 guy in the group. but do it in cute, charming ways. Like maybe he thinks showing up to a party on time is awesome because elves usually come early. Let him think that staying up past 8 is the highest of power moves. He's naive, but in a way that isn't your typical choir boy. He wants to be bad, but is woefully out of his depth on how to do it. Because as this stands, our other two leads are solid, with Lucy being Bender 2.0, but the archetype is gold and the performance is solid. Bean works as the lead, or a character can be somewhat inconsistent on how much of a party girl she is episode to episode, but she's charming and works with what she's given. Elfo is the anchor holding this cast back. If you fix him, this show can work as a standard sitcom. If the show wants to push for more serialized narratives, I'll take that too, as this show makes decisions that really intrigue me. Bean saving her mother over Elfo is great because it subverts your expectations in a good way. It shows complexity to characters that often act almost entirely on archetypes. I like it when the slimy viceroy turns out to be a chill dude who just wants to have his own fun over ruining Beans. It's cool when the comedic relief kid suddenly has to make important decisions, because this show can do intrigue well. I'm hella curious to see what they're gonna do with Bean, and I want to see how this will play out. But it needs to choose what it wants to be. I like Disenchantment, and I think it's worth a watch just so people can figure out if it's their cup of tea, to see if this weird dork period that the show is going through can be fixed in its upcoming seasons. And I really wish the show gets its act together, because it's a blast from my past, and I want to see it stand on its own, because it's got the makings of greatness. It just has to figure out how. Hey, thanks for making it to the end. Like, share, and subscribe. Hitting bells are all great ways to help me stay out of algorithm irrelevance. So pick your poison, and I'll see you all next week.